My coworker David sent me a screenshot at 11 p.m. A satellite image zoomed so close you could see individual trees. In the center was a perfect square clearing, maybe 40 feet across. Found this while looking for hiking spots, his text read. No trails lead to it. Want to check it out this weekend? I zoomed in. The clearing was geometrically perfect, too precise to be natural. Around its edges were wooden posts, evenly spaced like fence posts. What are those? I asked. No idea. That's why we should go. I should have noticed the other detail in that satellite photo. In the trees surrounding the clearing, there were gaps in the canopy. 12 of them, positioned in a perfect circle around the clearing, each one just wide enough for something to look down from above. We left Friday afternoon. The coordinates put the clearing 6 miles into the Cascades, in a section of national forest that didn't see much traffic. The trail was maintained for the first 2 miles, then became overgrown, then disappeared entirely. We used David's GPS and a compass, pushing through dense undergrowth. We should mark our path, I said, pulling out surveyor's tape. Orange, high visibility. Good call, David agreed. Every 100 feet or so, I tied a strip of tape to a branch at eye level. We did this for 3 hours, working our way deeper into forest that felt increasingly wrong. The trees here grew too close together, their branches interwoven so tightly overhead that only dim green light filtered through. The ground was soft, almost spongy, covered in moss that muffled our footsteps. No birds, no squirrels, no insects, just that heavy green silence. We found the clearing at 6 p.m., breaking through the tree line into sudden, shocking openness. The space was exactly as it appeared in the satellite photo, a perfect square, 40 feet on each side, the ground covered in short grass that looked freshly mowed. The posts we'd seen were 10 feet tall, made of dark wood that hadn't rotted despite clearly being old. 12 posts total, 1 at each corner and 2 per side. Each post had something carved into it at the 7-foot mark. An eye, stylized and simple, facing inward toward the center of the clearing. This is someone's property, I said. We should leave. David was already walking to the center. Look at this. In the exact middle of the clearing was a circular platform, maybe 6 feet in diameter, made of the same dark wood as the posts. It was raised about a foot off the ground, with 3 steps leading up to it. The surface was perfectly smooth, except for one detail. Carved into the center was a symbol I didn't recognize. A circle with 12 lines radiating out from it, each line ending in a smaller circle. It's like a stage, David said, stepping onto the platform. The moment his foot touched the wood, I heard it. A sound like wind chimes, but deeper, resonant. It came from everywhere and nowhere, lasting maybe 3 seconds before fading. Did you hear that? I asked. David was looking around, frowning. No, what? Chimes, like... I stopped, because I realized something else. The light had changed. It was darker now, the green twilight of deep forest replaced by something dimmer and colder, and the trees at the edge of the clearing had moved closer. Not much, maybe a foot. But I'd been looking at them seconds ago, and they were definitely closer now. We need to leave, I said, right now. It's just a weird camping spot, man. Let's set up here. We hiked 6 miles. I wanted to argue, but he was already pulling out his tent, and part of me thought I was being paranoid. Trees don't move. Light changes as the sun sets. The chimes were probably wind through the posts. We set up camp at the edge of the clearing, on the north side. I refused to get closer to the platform. While David assembled his tent, I walked the perimeter, examining the posts. Each carved eye was identical, pupil dilated, unblinking. The wood was smooth and cold to the touch, like stone. Behind one post, I found something that made my stomach drop. Surveyor's tape. Orange, just like mine. But weathered, sun-bleached to a pale yellow. I pulled it free. The material was brittle, disintegrating in my fingers. "David," I called. "How old did that satellite image say it was?" 2 months. Why? I showed him the degraded tape. "This is the same brand I'm using. This has been here for years." He shrugged. "Some other hiker marked the area. So what? The trail disappeared 3 miles back. Nobody hikes here." "We did," he said, returning to his tent. I tied a fresh piece of tape to the post, right next to where I'd found the old one. Then I took a photo with my phone. The post, the fresh tape, the old tape remnants. Timestamp, 6:47 p.m. We cooked dinner on David's camp stove, eating in silence as darkness fell. Full darkness came fast, faster than it should have. By 7:30 p.m., it was pitch black beyond our small circle of LED lantern light. "No moon tonight?" David asked. I checked my phone. Full moon. Should be bright. But overhead, the canopy was so thick I couldn't see any sky, just branches woven into a solid mat of shadow. At 9 p.m., we heard the first footsteps. Not animal footsteps. These were rhythmic, deliberate, like someone pacing. They circled the clearing, staying just beyond the tree line, moving clockwise. We swept our flashlights into the forest, but saw nothing except trees and darkness. The footsteps completed one full circuit, then stopped at the east side of the clearing, directly across from our camp. Then came a voice. "Hello, the camp." It was male, deep, formal, old-fashioned phrasing. David stood up. "Hello? Do you need help?" Silence. Then, "Permission to approach?" Sure," David called. Nothing emerged from the trees. The voice came again. Same words, same inflection. "Permission to approach?" I said yes, David shouted. "Permission to approach?" It was a loop. The same recording, repeating. I grabbed David's arm. "Don't answer again." We waited. After the 5th repetition, the voice stopped. The footsteps resumed, completing another circuit of the clearing before falling silent. "What the fuck was that?" David whispered. I didn't answer because I was looking at the platform. In our lantern light, I could see it clearly, and I was certain, absolutely certain, that it was taller now. Not by much, maybe 6 inches, but it had been 1 foot off the ground when we arrived. Now it was closer to 18 inches. I took another photo. Timestamp, 9:23 p.m. We didn't sleep. We sat back to back between our tents, flashlights ready, listening. At midnight, the chimes came back. That same deep, resonant sound, but sustained now, a continuous tone that made my teeth ache. It lasted 5 minutes. When it stopped, I noticed something new. The posts were glowing, faintly, just barely visible, a soft bioluminescent blue emanating from the carved eyes. As I watched, the glow pulsed, all 12 posts in perfect synchronization. "Are you seeing this?" I asked. David nodded, speechless. The pulses increased in frequency, faster and faster, until the posts were strobing. Then they stopped, and the platform began to rise, not mechanically. It didn't lift or elevate. It grew. The wood expanded upward, the platform surface rising smoothly like something breathing, reaching 3 feet, then 4, then 5 feet off the ground. The stairs stretched to accommodate, maintaining their proportion. When it stopped, the platform was exactly 7 feet high, level with the carved eyes on the posts. In the new silence, we heard breathing, not from the forest, from above. Heavy, wet breathing, coming from 12 different points in the canopy, directly over the clearing. The gaps I'd noticed in the satellite photo. Things were in those gaps. I tilted my flashlight up. The beam caught something massive in the branches, 60 feet up. I had an impression of size, of bulk, of something that shouldn't be able to support itself in a tree. Then it moved, and branches cracked, and I dropped the flashlight. David grabbed my shoulder. "We're leaving, now." We stuffed our gear into our packs with shaking hands, not bothering to collapse the tents. The breathing above got louder, faster, excited. I found my flashlight and swept it across the tree line, looking for our trail. The orange surveyor's tape was gone, every single piece. "Where the fuck is the path?" David's voice was rising toward panic. I pulled out my phone, opened the GPS. No signal. The compass app spun wildly, needle rotating in continuous circles. "We marked the trail," I said. "We just follow our tape back." "I'm telling you it's gone." He was right. We walked the entire perimeter of the clearing, flashlights scanning the trees. Not one piece of orange tape remained. Instead, we found others. Yellow tape, bleached and brittle. Red tape, so old it had turned brown. White tape that crumbled when I touched it. Dozens of pieces, tied to branches by dozens of hikers who'd tried to mark their escape route. Behind me, something dropped from the canopy and landed on the platform with a heavy thud. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed not to look. But David's flashlight was already turning, and the beam caught it, and I saw. It was tall, 8 feet, maybe 9. It stood on 2 legs, but the proportions were wrong. The legs too long and bent at too many joints. Its torso was barrel-shaped, massive. No arms that I could see, just a smooth expanse of bark-like skin. Its head was small, disproportionately so, and featureless except for one detail. An eye, single, enormous, taking up most of the face, and it was looking directly at me. The platform, I realized, wasn't a stage. It was a viewing platform, and we were what was being viewed. The thing on the platform tilted its head, and the eye dilated. Then it opened its mouth, or what I thought was its mouth, a vertical slit below the eye, and made a sound. A wet, clicking sound, like a camera shutter. Another thud behind us. I spun. A second one had descended, now standing at the south post, then a third at the west, then more, dropping from the canopy, landing around the perimeter of the clearing. 12 of them, one at each post. They weren't just watching us. They were positioning themselves, surrounding us. David grabbed my arm. "The platform. Get on the platform." "Are you insane? It's the center. They're staying at the edges. The center might be safe." It wasn't logic, it was panic. But I didn't have a better idea. We ran to the platform and climbed the stairs. The moment our feet touched the wood, the creatures moved. All 12, stepping forward in perfect unison, closing the circle. They stopped 10 feet from the platform, forming a ring around us. Then they began to sway, gently, rhythmically, like trees in wind. And that chime sound started again, but now I understood what it was. They were making it, something resonating in their chest cavities, a deep harmonic that I could feel in my bones. The swaying synchronized, the chiming harmonized, and I realized they weren't threatening us. They were performing. We were the audience. This went on for hours, or maybe minutes. Time felt thick, viscous. The creatures swayed and chimed and watched us with their massive eyes, and I couldn't look away. Part of me didn't want to. The display was beautiful in a way that made me want to cry. David was the first to move. He stepped to the edge of the platform and reached toward the nearest creature. "David, don't!" He stepped off the platform. The creatures stopped immediately. David stood in the grass, smiling. "They're not dangerous," he said dreamily. "They're artists. They're showing us something beautiful. Get back on the platform. You're being rude. They prepared this for us." He walked toward the nearest creature. It lowered its head, bringing that enormous eye level with David's face. He stared into it, and his expression changed, slackened. His smile widened into something inhuman. "You should come down," he said. His pupils were dilated to pinpricks. "You should see what they're showing me. How to stay, how to become part of the performance." The creature opened its mouth. David leaned forward. I looked away. When I finally looked back, there were 13 figures in the circle. I couldn't tell which was David anymore. The sky began to lighten. The creatures climbed back into the canopy. David, or what had been David, went last, disappearing into the woven branches. When the last one vanished, the platform lowered. The glow faded. The chiming stopped, and the orange tape was back, every piece exactly where I'd tied it. I ran. After an hour, I hit the maintained trail. After 2 hours, I reached the parking lot. David's truck was gone. In its place was a rusted pickup covered in moss. My phone showed Monday, October 18th. We'd entered Friday the 15th, 3 days missing. I'd experienced one night. The rangers searched for a week, found nothing. They found my tent, though, weathered and rotting. "This has been out here for months," they said. I checked my photos. They'd changed. The 6:47 p.m. photo showed the platform already elevated with a figure on it. The 9:23 p.m. photo showed 2 figures. One was David, the other was me. Last night I heard that chiming outside my apartment. Orange tape was tied to the streetlight, my brand. This morning, a photo appeared under my door, satellite image of the clearing. 13 figures on the platform, 12 tall, 1 human-sized in the center, dated 3 days from now. I've been counting posts every day, always 12. Yesterday at midnight, I woke up swaying. When I stopped, I felt disappointed. They're calling me back, not as audience. I was there to audition, and apparently, I got the part.